Well, I guess I'll go ahead and start since we're recording. I'm Heather McIntosh, and Allyson Newman is here with me. We're the co-presidents of the Alliance for Women Film Composers. And we are so thrilled today to have musician, music editor, creative person, Lori Eschler here with us. And we can't wait to speak with you about all of your endeavors. So thanks for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So I guess if we were we're gonna go ahead and just dive in. Like, I'd love to talk. Like, what's your entry point to music? Have you always played music? Since
Yeah,
you're little.
I started when I was 4, just playing around on the piano, and then took piano lessons in Billings, Montana, as if you could imagine. And then in high school, I started playing string bass in orchestra, and because I auditioned for the pian to be the pianist, and he saw the size of my hands and said, I have 3 bass players graduating next year. Will you please play bass on everything that doesn't have piano? So that's what happened. And then I got a scholarship to Montana State University to play in the Bozeman Symphony. Um, and but I was also majoring in, I had a lot of friends in the film department. So I I switched over from music to film. And let's see. Then, yeah, after I graduated, moved to Seattle. I wasn't really playing much music there. I was working in the coffee shops, and all my film friends had moved to LA, gone to AFI, and said, they talked me into moving there. So that's how I ended up in LA. And within probably a couple of years, yeah, within about 2.5 years, I was in editorial, and I was the only one who was like, you can't cut the music there. Wait, cut from here to here. It was on the U2 film Rattle and Hum.
Uh-huh.
And so that was my entry into music editing. And then one of my very next jobs was Twin Peaks. And I worked on that with David Lynch, and I worked on a few other things with him for about 3.5 years. And it was my first real music editing job, but it was like no, I mean, it was so different from a regular music editing job that I wasn't really, I mean, I was just kind of learning as I went along. It was,
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
know like much about music editing? Like, and like, was it a career path that you'd ever thought about, or is it sort of something that you discovered?
um, I sort of, it was happenstantial. I was in an editing room. I was an assistant editor, a first assistant editor, and so I knew a lot about editing already. Had done that for about 2 years, and once I got the job on Twin Peaks, it was just like, okay, I know what I'm doing, basically. But it wasn't a typical music editing job in which you prepare everything for the composer, time out the scenes, and they score to picture. It was um, Angelo pre-recorded all the music. He and David wrote like together alone, and then pulled in musicians who took the themes and did some improvisation, but they recorded in multi-track format. So I was
Okay.
able to separate out the tracks and manipulate them, and sort of create collage overlapping different cues that happen to work together. And oftentimes they weren't even in the same key, but and this was all on 35 millimeter mag back then, so it
That's what I
wasn't
was gonna ask.
no
What format? Okay, yeah.
HDD or anything. Yeah, so I made a lot of physical loops, and then took them across the street to have them transferred to these 1,000 feet at a time reels that I would just keep like in stock. Okay, I need that loop, and we had different names for the different loops. And It
So, okay, so let me just to get
Sorry.
a visual. So
Uh,
we're talking physical, like, is this like analog tape at this point? Are we dealing, so we're dealing with eight, is it like 8 tracks? Like, what are the track, are you doing stereo
mine
mix? Yeah,
was a stereo mix on a 35 millimeter
okay.
magnetic thing, that same size as the film, and I was on
The
a
film,
flat
yeah,
the editing a flatbed.
yeah.
Um, so I only had 2 tracks available at any one
That is,
time. And so it was like, okay, then this has to overlap here. And a lot of it was just like using my imagination of what was going to come together when I took all of these separate reels to the final dub stage. And it was fun. I mean, it was crazy that first year. The second year was like the first year of digital audio, and it was very experimental, and not many people were using it. But I was using this terrific system made by SSL, Solid State Logic, called Screen Sound. It doesn't exist anymore, but
okay.
it's, I mean, it was super expensive. It was ridiculous, but it changed everything. It changed our process entirely because everything was digitized, and I could make changes so quickly, and I could do so much more experimentation.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, instead of those big, the big loop. So when the SSL soft, when that came around, was that, were you cutting, did you have a computer with you at that point? Or were you,
yep.
okay,
Yeah.
so at that point you were able to slice, you, it looked a little bit more like a contemporary Pro Tools or DAW or something like
Well,
that then.
yeah, it was a standalone system. It had like a sort of
Kind of like a
it
Fairlight.
had a pen. I got carpal tunnel, for 3 years, but then it had like all these. The main challenge was the storage, because the storage was so small. We didn't have like gigabytes.
You were dealing with megabytes. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'd have to like back up and then, upload and download everything. And it that was took time, and sometimes things didn't get saved properly, and I'd have to like do a day's worth of work all over again. But it was just part of the learning curve. And the people that had developed the system used a lot of my mistakes in, making it better. I was a beta tester.
I
Um,
mean, an incredible beta test. I still want to learn more, think more about it. So you're watching playback, not connected with this rig. Are you just doing the edit? Do you have,
Oh yeah, it was in sync.
okay,
By the second season of Twin Peaks, we had video with time code, and that there was an interface, so that would stay in sync.
okay.
Yeah,
It's,
and then by the end of that season, we had a weird, God, it was like a laser disc thing that it didn't work very well. It was a good idea. It was worth trying,
oh
but
yeah.
Season of the show, though, when you're that writing, I mean, it's funny because it's like, you're taking what, the composer and had sent to you, but also your music editing, but it's also extremely like, you got your hands all over it kind of thing, making creative choices kind of thing by the sounds of it. It
oh
must
yeah.
have been I mean, in terms of TV, I don't know what it was like back then, but television now is so fast and furious kind of thing. Um, you must have been working like a lot, like to make those deadlines because that's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. And that's what did the switching to a digital format really it changed everything. It made, I mean, what we were doing the first season, if you watch Twin Peaks, the music is much simpler.
Yeah.
And I mean, it started getting experimental as I, got more familiar with the tracks, and more experimental in regards to changing tempos, like transferring backwards and half speed again. And then, being able to use like maybe a solo instrument playing a nice melody against those, like what we called like dark beds of music. That's about as far as it went in the first season, but the second season it got much more complex in regards to how much manipulation I was doing.
Yeah. I wonder about that. You said the term dark beds. Did you have what were some of the shorthand languages like say you're like I just think about things like when I'm working with my director, I'm like, these dark chugs, because I'm a cello player and bass player
Right.
also, something like that. Like what were some of the shorthand languages that you would navigate? Um, and were you sending these like fully formed ideas to the stage or to David and then reviewing them were they pretty like locked in at that point, or were you sitting together and listening to sounds as you were doing the manipulation and the loops?
Right. And how did Angelo kind of work in this as well? In
Right.
the
Yeah,
scenario?
Okay.
of course.
So the first few episodes, we all sat in the spotting session, Angelo, David, Dwayne, the picture editor, and me, and kind of talked about where the music should start and end and what mood. And then, they had developed certain themes for certain characters and
Yeah.
certain scenarios. So that was kind of laid in stone. But outside of that, it just got more and more experimental. And I had taken like in college, I'd taken like acting and directing classes. So I understood like subtext and things like that. And that was sort of the fun stuff I was doing, was like,
Yeah.
this isn't playing the way it should. I'm going to like bring this in and just accent it a little bit. So
Yeah.
it was super fun and creative, and it sort of led me towards composing eventually. And but so Angelo, okay, so after the first 3 episodes or so, everybody's like, okay, we all know what we're doing. We don't need to waste time going through the entire episode. Let the director of the episode do that. And that was very strange, because in television then, the director just went away after they stopped shooting. And um the like we didn't call them showrunners, a producer would finish. And so in this situation, the directors were given music on cassette tapes to listen to, so they were familiar with the themes. And then they would sit down with me and we'd spot together, just myself and the director. And if they needed something that didn't exist, we would get Angelo on the phone, and he would have to, it was fast. I mean, he'd have to get something recorded quick, because we were turning things around in a week. And yeah, so that was kind of his participation. And then at the end of the dub, I was on the dub stage supervising, like, oh, this needs to, I mean, I worked very closely with the sound people. And
Right.
after the first 3 episodes, we were like, okay, this is not going to fly with David. So let's clear this space out and let the music take over, or let's bring the music down and let the wind take over, that sort
Yeah.
of stuff. And then he would come in after we finished dubbing, and he would watch the playback with us. And so every now and then he would have a change or a note. And sometimes he really liked to play a little bit. So he would always find some little thing to add, some little like sound effect, which was really funny. And he did some crazy stuff. But
What would a version of that be? Like, are they sound design sound effects, or would it be like a little horn idea from like
it
one of
would
the
be like 2 quick examples. When Audrey is talking to Donna in the high school bathroom and she's
yeah.
smoking and she flicks her cigarette into the sink,
Uh-huh.
um, David wanted to make that sound of the or the cigarette,
The fizzling out. Yeah.
fizzling out. So he just said, "Open up a mic and start here and play here." And we're waiting, and he's got the mic.
Oh, so like literally making sounds with his mouth.
He
I didn't know
did.
if there would be like a wet ashtray and he like, but he's actually just going.
He made it with his mouth, and they mixed it in, and it's there, and it's really funny. And there's all sorts of stuff like that we would do, and you know, when he came in to with his notes, like there's an embarrassing scene where they needed a girl laughing in the diner, and it's me. And I was like, I don't want to do this.
I love it though. I mean, you're creating your own sort of. It has these different mementos like that you can listen to in a different way. I love that. It's really special to me. Like this is probably where things will reveal how much of a Twin Peaks fan I am. But for very long periods of my life, it was the main thing that I would listen and watch. And I actually listened to it just in headphones before bed for a long time. Probably says something about my psyche. So I've heard a lot of those details very closely, and I'm very aware of all the wonderful edits. And it's fascinating to hear musically. I don't know. I just think about when you're talking about season 1 to season 2 variation, you know, you think about like, oh, well, it's freshly squeezed. It's Audrey's theme. It's Laura's theme. You hear the theme come in and it's wonderfully that theme. And then you get to season 2 where you're at a funeral memorial scene and the there's like 4 different pieces of music. It feels like you're threading in and out of when you're looking at, you know, we're seeing the patent leather shoes, then food getting passed around, and you're having all of the transitions between all of those moments. Just to have a visual on how those scenes were made, it's so beautiful to me to know, like, as someone who loves concrete music and loves tape manipulation, and to see that early transition from tape to digital, like see how it actually occurs and to hear those edits and be aware of those shifts, but to know that it was this new technology that you had your hands on, and then just adding this extra layer of thinking about, you know, David making extra sounds with this. I mean, it's just lovely. It's really fun.
Sound effects and ADR.
Yeah, it was really fun. You had asked earlier about, you know, what we would call some of the and drones that we were making, and it was so fun. That there was one that sounded like it was super low frequency, and we called it the B-52 loop because it sounded like that airplane.
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, and then there was one I did on Fire Walk with Me, and at this point it was like I got to keep track of like so much stuff. And as soon as he used it, you know, because he was mixing the music as I'm feeding him tracks, and when he used that, I said, "Hey, now what do you want to call that loop?" And he turned to me and he said, "Mr. Jitters goes to town." Okay, you know, we're going to type that out in a cue sheet. They changed it, of course.
I think it's a wonderful name.
I think it's a great name. It's one of the great pleasures of naming cues, I think, given names. Like, so people are like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. Oh, that's so great.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
So I mean, sorry, I was going to say, what happens after Twin Peaks then? Because, like, I mean, where do you go from there, and how did your world kind of evolve from such a like incredible experience? I can only imagine.
Well, between the series and the feature Fire Walk with Me, I did some commercials with David, and he did another series that was short-lived called On the Air. I did the pilot for that. Tim Hunter, one of the directors of Twin Peaks, did the pilot for Beverly Hills 90210. So I did that.
So that was in between. Was that after Twin Peaks that you did 90210 then, right? Because that was like 90. Okay. Yep. 92 or something like that. Yeah.
Your history.
Here.
With you. Yeah, then I started doing more like independent films. I wasn't really into TV. I loved working with Tim on Beverly Hills, but the pilot, but that wasn't what I wanted to be doing.
Yeah.
And I did another TV show called Sequest, where the composers would let me write some of the cues, which was very cool. They all
Yeah.
came from the Mike Post School, and so that's kind of, they sort of championed each other.
Yeah.
Uh,
Jay
so
Grusker, one of the composers on that.
sorry,
Jay Grusker, one of the composers on that.
I didn't quite hear the name.
Oh, on Sequest,
Yeah.
Jay, Jay Grusker. Was he one?
Maybe on third season, because I was only
Okay.
there for the first and second season, and yeah. So
I
that,
assisted when I was very young. I assisted him, and I just remember that name
oh,
on,
cool,
various pieces of paper that were flying around the studio, kind of thing. So,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So from there, um, I worked with a couple of friends that from Montana that had gone to AFI, and I did commercials with them and features for John Dahl, who did like Red Rock West and Kill Me
Yeah.
Again. I worked on a lot of his stuff. And then I don't remember the exact order. I did The Matrix because Don
Yeah.
Davis, who scored The Matrix, was also on Sequest. And that's how we like built a pretty good working relationship for the most part. And so, hi, Don. Um, so, yeah, that was great because he knew, I mean, I got some great opportunities there because I mean, I remember one time we were scoring and he didn't feel well and he ran off the podium and, we've got the 80 some piece orchestra and he just tossed the baton to me and he goes, "You're going to have to finish." And
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
"Okay." So there was only one cue left and I stood up at the podium. Luckily, I had done this in high school. So, yeah,
Oh,
but
wow.
yeah, I mean, it was the simplest cue. It was just a joke, but, and we had a click track. So the first violinist said, "Violins on the right, cello on the left."
Oh man.
Just a prep
Yeah.
going in just in case.
Thanks. Yeah, so that was funny. But then when we did The Matrix, he was, I think, sometimes a little overconfident in my abilities. And we were scoring on 24 track and recording into Pro Tools 24 tracks.
Yeah.
And so he would give me notes after we finished each cue, like, here's how I want it edited. So he'd have me editing multi-track from this take these bars to this take these bars back to, and it was super complex. And I use the score and just like make sure I got everything to
Yeah.
be seamless. And
Mm.
it was really daunting that he did. I'm like, okay, it was
Yeah.
just another thing I'd never done. But
Yeah.
that
Trial
was
by fire. Yeah.
super challenging. And then finishing that was so great because of the Wachowskis.
Yeah.
I love them so much, and getting to work with them was amazing.
Yeah.
They're so talented.
Yeah. It's such a incredible world built by them. It's and the music, of course, is such a huge part of it. And like what a great place to hang out in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing that I remember about The Matrix is when I'm hearing it and looking at the score before this recording session, it's cool. It's really, yeah, it's working. It's timed out well. But in the room, the spatial thing that he made with his orchestrations it was like, you know, it was like seeing, some amazing symphony do some crazy 20th century thing with all of these, the way the horns would come in and then something else would swell over here. And it was
Yeah.
just gorgeous. And I was like, I always felt really disappointed when they added the sound effects in the final mix, it's like, oh, you're killing that score, man. Can't we just have nothing but music through this whole thing? But
Wow.
yeah, so that's part of being a music editor. That's like it's political and trying to fight for the levels on cues that everyone's in love with, and um,
Yeah.
then typical composers do not want you to touch their music. Do not edit this, and they get kind of bent out of shape. They have in the past. Now it's different, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So with the Matrix, with any electronic components within the score, was there like, is there a is that fold, like in the way that we have like
Just in
now
the
when we the playback, you think about like, oh, well, there's the electronic elements. Are
Relays.
they playing
Yeah.
to that with a click, or is it all just, do you
it
know,
was
like
all orchestra.
all
The
orchestra?
score was orchestra. There were a lot of songs
Yeah,
used as well, the techno stuff, and um, so that was cut to picture.
yeah. So
That
never the
the
queen
guy who
shall
did
meet.
that
They,
was
yeah, okay,
yeah, that was Zig Braun who did that. He did a great job, and yeah, it was all orchestra,
yeah,
and they were making picture changes, you know, well, after we scored too, so I'd have to edit on the stage, but right up to the last minute. So we did a lot of tempo changes. I can't remember the system I was using for click tracks. It was really sort of archaic. But it was like MS-DOS, right? Like you
yeah,
have to enter this strange thing to enter the bar and the tempo to this, and then this is the time code where we need it to end, so it would change. It was cool, it worked. It would change the tempo imperceptibly if
yeah.
you knew how to do it. So yeah,
You must think that everyone has it so easy now.
I know. I know. Used to take a lot of people.
Push a few buttons.
Yep.
Yeah. So at that point, when you were editing, were you, I know that you mentioned with the clicks, like, were you actually editing in Pro Tools then as well? Or was
Yeah.
that, okay, so then you'd
Yeah.
switch to Pro Tools fully at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, SSL did not continue to support screen sound. It was too cost prohibitive, I think. And Pro Tools was coming Pro Tools was really,
Avid is coming in hot.
it's called something else sound tools.
Yeah. Remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So, but it was much more affordable, and, that's what people opted to buy. Or I think Screen Sound, they were asking 85 grand for the system.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great while we had it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so wonderful. Wow. These are the things I think are so interesting, like having an entry point, like so much technologically has just shifted.
Mhm.
Like Allie said, so much we sort of take for granted as far as like cutting and pasting,
Mhm.
meshing tempos around, being able to sync tempos and
Time
Oh,
stretch.
it's unbelievable. And I hadn't done anything for, my God, 20, almost over 20 years. I hadn't done any editing or music or anything. And when we started writing this music this year, um, Dale had me download Audacity. It was free. No, it's risk free, And I was like, I ramped up, and I figured it out really quickly, and it was like back on the horse.
Yeah. Amazing.
so
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that project. So you're working right now on a release that's coming out tomorrow, right?
Oh, yeah.
Um, tell us about that project and the collaboration and a little bit more about that. I'm sure everyone would love to
Yeah.
know.
Um, I collaborated with an old friend who's from Montana, who we became friends actually in Seattle, and he started a sort of, they called it a punk band, but you know, in the 80s, and it became Steel Pole Bathtub, the San Francisco noise band. And so we didn't see each other for like 35 years. And this year we reconnected online and got together in February and started writing. And it's just, it took off in a direction that I had no confidence whatsoever. I hadn't played the piano. My cello was in a case in the garage, in the desert, bad. And so, you know, within a couple of weeks, I was playing. I mean, within the first day I was playing piano, we were recording it. He brought an interface and it was so fun. And then I started doing all these weird loops and, you know, making things go backwards again, my favorite thing. And then he plays, he does a lot of looping as well, but he also is a great bass and guitar player. So that's all his work on the album. And it's sort of I mean, we classify it as a soundtrack because that's what it sounds like. And people have compared it to Twin Peaks.
And what is the name? Tell us the name. Tell everyone the name.
It's called A Cosmic Industrial Love Story. And the name of our duo is LXD in parentheses, Lori times Dale. It's an algebraic equation.
Perfect.
But at the top of the chat, I pasted a link. I think it's still, to our Bandcamp page. It will be available hopefully midnight Central Time.
Cool. I think we have to put it in there, Heather.
Yeah.
Does everyone see it, or do we need to recap?
No, I think it was put in before we hit record.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
Here we go. Jeff got it. Great.
Well done, Jeff.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, we can't wait to check it out. It's so exciting. So does anyone have any questions at this point? I feel like we could just sort of let it open up. I of course can keep going. But it would be great to hear if anyone has any questions from our conversation so far. Any thoughts?
A question.
Hello.
Hola.
Hi.
Hola. Hello. Hi, Lori. Thank you so much
Hi.
for your time. Of
My
course,
pleasure.
AWFC. This is great. Yeah, I'm just super inspired by you. I think that it's wonderful to see someone have such a long career. And I was wondering, especially a woman during that time, and this time, and I'm wondering what your thoughts are on how we've progressed or what we might need to do. As
I was just told before we started recording, I was told how many members and affiliates this group has, and I'm going to burst into tears again because, you know, it was Rachel Portman essentially when I was doing it, and she actually I shouldn't tell this story. She was discriminated against in a really hideous way, and I won't say any other thing about it, who, what, where, when, or why. But so when I heard how many people belong to this group, I was really moved and excited, and it's terrific.
Yeah.
And I think
but there's still a long way to go.
Oh, no kidding. Oh my God. The entire film industry still, it's just so slow. It's like because everything is freelance, there's no accountability. And there was never, because we were all contracted and it was a weird deal through the union. So we got benefits and everything, but there was no accountability to us as workers. So there was a lot of nasty stuff that went on, and but also just there's wasn't a lot of inclusion. the orchestras were pretty diverse, and that was fun when we were working with live orchestras. But early on, I was usually the only woman in the room in post-production. There were more women in the picture editing departments, but still way more men. And David was really cool, David Lynch, because he hired a lot of powerful women and trusted them to do their jobs. And that was a huge part of his success, is that he didn't, I mean, he hired people based on a sense of connection that he had with them. And he took a risk with me because I was really inexperienced. So thanks, David. And yeah, and he did trust women with a lot of decision making, and that it went well. So, but geez.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's really nice now, even though there's still a lot of work to be done in the industry, what's nice, the best thing about this organization is the community that's being built around it. And there's like a lot more support for women composers, and like there's a real sort of sense of strengthening the community and supporting of one another, which I think is what we really build our network. And
how do you get in?
You just sign up.
You have to do.
I'll send you a link. We would love to have you.
We'd love to have you. Yeah.
I'd love to be part of this. It's so cool.
We have events and stuff all the time. So if you're back out in Palm Springs, you should definitely come out to LA.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
And we're growing internationally too, which is really exciting. So we're and throughout the States as well. We have events, around a lot of film festivals, and just to be able to find each other. It's so important, because I mean, even when I was starting, you keep your head down, you do your work, and you don't see each other. You're just like, well, I just need to keep moving ahead, keep working. And then you realize like how special it can be to just share your experience with one another, and to be able to be, hold folks accountable and talk about your craft, and not feel like everything, just not to feel alone and talking about your creative processes together. It's really lovely.
Yeah, it's great.
Pushing.
Hello.
Can I ask a question that has nothing to do with the state of the world? Could I ask a question about those commercials with David Lynch that you talked about?
It was ridiculous. It's embarrassing because I hardly did anything, and it was mostly sound effects, but so I would do some of those as well. But there would just be, Angelo would record a track, and I would get in, and it was super straight ahead. One was an Armani commercial. It was all for like European television.
Yeah.
And it really paid well. It was like, it's like
the thing about commercials. Yeah.
Yeah. I felt so guilty. Like, I'm not even working really. Just we're sitting around here joking around. It's so easy.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah. It's changed a lot since then.
Yeah. It's fun to think about just getting to make those, and that I feel like I've clicked through a handful of those, and it's just so fascinating that like it seems so much. It's like, well, you had the taste making of that time to have, you're coming from Twin Peaks, you're coming from this time where we want to have this sort of Fellini-esque expression in our commercial spaces too, like to get to go full Lynch literally is wonderful. It's just so fascinating to me. I love it.
Yeah, it is.
Here I had a question.
Oh yes, let's get it.
And I love the comment. I don't know if you saw the comment, Lori, but you should just tell her what you said though, Akira, to start.
Okay. Yeah, just when I will, say thank you, I could hear a lot of the episode from Twin Peaks, because Twin Peaks of the one of the big motivation to go, for me to go into the film world. And yeah, I saw that in Japan when I was kid, when I was a college student. But it is not broadcasted. I have to go to the VHS rental store. And I have to borrow that one by one. We couldn't, borrow the, two or three at once because everybody wants to, rent it. Okay. And the one thing I would like to show you is this picture. Who is this?
Oh,
This is Sherry Lynn.
That's Cheryl Lee, yeah.
And I met her.
That's beautiful, that photo.
Yeah. The Monster Palooza?
Sorry?
Monster Palooza.
Yeah.
This is a horror event, and she did the meet and greet event, and
Isn't
just
she nice?
Yeah.
She is such a sweet person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I want to say. Just I really say thank you. I'm really glad to hear the backstory of that TV show. I really I saw both of stories. Season 1, season 2. Season 2 is hard to understand, but I still love it.
I agree.
And it's like a homecoming kind of feel to see everybody gets old, other than David Boy,
Yeah. It's really gratifying to talk to people who appreciated and are really familiar with that story and that work. It's fun to talk about.
But David Lynch, can I ask something? David Lynch, hi, I'm Yael.
Hi.
I'm doing music for silent films, actually, and I met you, Heather, in New York.
in New York.
Tribeca.
Yeah, it's great to see you.
I'm in New York. So I'm so happy we're talking about David Lynch, and it was so sad when he passed. And I wondered, Lori, you said that you worked with him, but maybe other people here worked with him too. I thought that he created his own music, mostly. What the sounds kind of electronic.
Yeah, he became way more involved in creation of the music. Years after I was finished on Twin Peaks and not working with him, what happened is he bought the house next door to his house and built, a studio so he could work there with a beautiful recording studio and mixing room. And he started collecting instruments, and he worked with his engineer, co-composer, who also, they were doing a lot of experimental stuff. His name's Dean Hurley.
But the music is wonderful. I love his music.
Get into more and more. Yeah, it was so fun working with him. He started as a painter, and he said that he started kind of in his idea stages would start seeing things moving, and he'd hear sounds in the paintings, and he was like, I need to be able to add this sound to the painting. And early on he would do it like an installation, but then he started making films, and that became his medium. It was exactly what was, it's what his ideas were born to create.
So Eraserhead was his first movie, really?
I believe it was his first commercially released movie.
Yeah.
He did a lot of movies, experimentally, and just films of his family that were also very cool. There's a great documentary that will show you that called I think it's called An Art Life.
Yeah, David Lynch, Art Life. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
That's a great way to
I
sort
look
of
for it.
see. Yeah, it's great.
yeah. So, but yeah,
The
Eraserhead was the
music in
first one I saw.
Eraserhead.
Sorry?
Yeah, and the music in Eraserhead is just fantastic.
Right.
So I wondered who created that.
I don't know off the top of my head. I'm
I'll check
checking
it.
Google. No, I'm just gonna
Get to Google it.
Thank you.
Oh, that's
no, just say no. Use your brain.
yeah. We'll just keep holding on to that space there.
Oh, look what just happened.
Oh,
Doesn't
The
list.
Oh
physical
gosh.
Google.
Okay, it was well,
There's no
it
composer
just
list.
says
Yeah.
it
The
just
sound
says
design.
sound by Alan Splett and David Lynch.
Great. Alan
And
Split.
I knew that they did the sound, but it doesn't really have a music credit.
I
So
think it was
that was
Alan Split
probably them
doing it
actually.
all, actually.
Now that I think about it, yeah, because Alan was the one who started all of this
Yeah.
sampling.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I have a question, Laurie. What's next on your agenda? What are you planning? Like, I mean, you've got this release, and I guess you sound like really excited about it. Has that inspired a whole new brainwave of things that you want to do at this point?
Yeah, we're started working on more music and actually talking with a director about Dale and I work as a team scoring a film. So I'd love to get back into that. I scored a few things when I was music editing, but it's been years. But how much fun. And I'd really like to stick with independent filmmakers because that's why I left. I just sort of, succeeded to misery. I was working on projects that were essentially set up as like a Detroit auto factory. It was just like everything is the same motion repeated over and over, and there's no thought or creativity. And, the films were being made by the committees of like 20 executive producers. So yeah, I got a little tired of it and branched out into my life a little more. But I'm, making music again has brought me back to a happy place. So hopefully we'll definitely be recording more music and hopefully soon doing some composing,
Great.
scoring.
Great. Yeah, it seems like such a wonderful place. The style of music and the experimentation, like that joy of experimentation that lives so strongly in that work that you've done, and to see how that's expressed, it's like when you start diving in those waters, it's really hard. I would imagine when you're just able to really fly with it, that to go into any other structure, it's such a different step.
Using the diving into waters, it's like going from snorkeling in Bora Bora to sitting in like a really cloudy hot tub in some condo compound in Palm Desert, California.
Ew.
That's a really strong visual.
I can smell it.
Yeah. The chlorine.
Which is weird for sound and music, but here we are. Descriptive.
I'm gonna go back to Bora
Bora.
Bora.
Metaphor. It's only a metaphor.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
Jeff just posted a link to the art life. Excellent.
Yeah. Oh, great. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Are there any other questions before?
Do you have maybe you said at the start, and I know I came late and I apologize again. Lori, do you have a link? I mean, I'm looking you up. There's so many things. Do you have like a website, an email?
I'm on Instagram is probably the first point of contact, and yeah, or Bandcamp now. And the link to the Bandcamp page is here. It's just
and Alexa has shared some links as well, so you could just copy and paste this last one to find out more.
Oh, thank you.
She's always
Thank you, Alexa.
I have another. Bandcamp. I mean, I release my music right now through a label. It's a Dutch label, but then they don't do Bandcamp. Seems like everybody likes to do Spotify, and also for the Grammys, Grammys don't take Bandcamp video.
I don't take Grammys either. Sorry.
He's talking about Bora Bora.
No, I just wanted to hear what you have to say about it. Yes, okay.
Yeah, I think I can't even watch them. But that's
I
just
know.
me. There's nothing wrong with the Grammys or
I
any,
know.
you know, I didn't mean to make it sound like that.
All good. It's all good. Yes. All good.
Yeah, I'm
You're in the
gonna.
right company.
On Bandcamp, you get paid as well, right, Lori?
Yeah,
Really? Oh,
you get a much
You
larger
get paid for
portion.
your art. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Spotify just invested a lot of money into um, combat drone technology.
Sounds about right.
Just so you know.
That's where my money's going.
really?
Hmm.
Oh my God. So I have to say I'm from Israel and I'm a pacifist and I'm really, I apologize to everybody. And
Oh,
there's no,
And,
you know,
nothing to apologize for.
I know, but I just, yeah.
yeah, that's
Because
very
there's some
sweet.
organizations that are Palestinian Israeli organizations for peace and I'm part of them. So I think good things are going on too.
Yeah, and they are known. I mean, people are aware of who's making the decisions.
Yeah, we always see the best and worst of humanity, don't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, when disasters happen. So,
Sorry for sidetracking the whole thing, but in New York we got a nice new candidate.
Yeah.
Yep.
oh yeah.
Yep.
The new mayor.
Young guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Well,
Oh, we got to politics pretty
oh, we
quickly.
got so,
Sorry,
No, it's
I
all
put
right.
myself on.
New York doesn't have a new mayor yet. That's just a
no, we've got a
primary.
candidate.
No, I
We're-
know,
Oh,
I
that's
know,
the
I know.
primary?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
Yeah.
primary.
So-
Sorry,
well,
Important.
I know. I don't vote yet. I'm on a green card. Never mind.
well, it has been wonderful to speak with you today, Lori. I we are all so indebted to you and the craft in which you have shaped and the collaborations in which you've been a part of. We're just so thankful to have this time to chat with you. I am personally moved and thankful to have this time with you. I hope we can be friends. And I
Oh, yeah.
just I
Heather
just
has been
can't
like
wait.
talking about this for weeks and weeks, just so you know. So
Oh my God.
It's just been
I'm-
very special to speak
Twin
with
Peaks
you.
thing is real. It's alive and well.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I'm completely honored to be with you today. So thank you.
And
Thank
just
you.
to hear more
Thank you,
about your
Lori.
story and to and we just are so appreciative that you had the time and thank you so much.
My
Yeah.
I think
pleasure.
we all can share our gratitude for this time.
Yes. Take a
We
listen
appreciate
to the album and we'll be
Yeah, check out the album. Yes.
we'll be in
Tomorrow,
touch.
big release date. Awesome.
Yes.
Thanks a
Thanks
lot.
for the
Congratulations.
plug.
Yay. Awesome.
Bye.
Okay,
Thanks
take
for
care.
Thank you,
having me.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Lori. Thank you, everyone.